Alright, I'm going to be doing a review of the S&T PPSh, which is what I have right here. Now, quick rundown of the gun and the company S&T. S&T is, well, this gun is a complete clone of the Ares PPSh. The reason being is because S&T is essentially a group of the company from Ares. A small group parted from them and moved over to a factory in China because of some disagreement with the with Ares. And they essentially moved to a factory in China, which I believe is the A&K factory, is where they're producing these. And what they've done is taken the exact design of a lot of Ares guns, and they're producing them there. So that's why a lot of S&T guns are coming on the market, and a lot of Ares guns are disappearing from the market. Now, obviously this is a lot cheaper than the Ares, but it has pretty much all the same features. You got the 2,000 round drum mag, which is compatible with Ares gun, or Ares drum mags. It also has stick magazine available. You have the bolt catch, you know, the electric blowback. It also has the anti-reversal latch release feature when you pull the bolt back all the way, which is a very nice little feature to have. The box is basically a standard cardboard box. No real thrills about it, but it uses a flake-free foam. I don't know what the technical term is, but that's what I'm calling it. And it holds the gun in really well, so you're not going to have any problems with damage during shipping. I highly doubt you will. It comes with this obnoxious orange cap, but it comes off very easily. It'll pop right off. Now, I'd love to show you the gun in its stock form, however, I have refinished it. The advantage of me refinishing it to you is that I can tell you the exact steel and alloy parts count. So let's start from the rear. Obviously you've got a wood stock. The way the wood stock comes, it almost feels like plastic. When I first held it, I'm like, wait a minute. This does not feel like wood. Of course it is, and it's a very solid hard wood. You can't press your finger in and dent it like some of the Simon wood kits, or you know, a lot of the China wood that's going around, the orange crate wood. This is a very solid hardwood. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but my best guess is birch. It's really nice, and it has a decent grain to it. However, the finish that comes with it does not exactly highlight the grain, and it's also very clean and a pretty light finish. It doesn't look orange like on the websites, but I didn't like it, so I refinished it. The butt plate is steel. Now obviously this is where the battery goes in from. It's pretty simple. Flip this piece open, push up, the screw will pop out, folds open to the side. I've replaced it with Dean's. That's a recommendation that you should do. I would definitely recommend Dean's. Now, it does not have room for a large type. It has room for a 9.6 mini, you know, butterfly type, small lipos, decent sized lipos. It's pretty wide. It's wide enough to fit like a large type, but it is not deep enough. Bear that in mind. It's not quite like an M14. Locks back together. My screw is loose. I need to tighten that. Now, steel and aluminum parts count. Like I said, steel with a plastic insert underneath that holds the butt plate that rotates it. This rear sling mount is unfortunately an alloy. It is not steel. I don't necessarily trust these, but the design of this, where it's not protruding at all, should be pretty sturdy, and it's screwed into the gun nice and tight. I do believe it can take a good amount of force. Now the main difference between this and the Hexagon productions externally, well, besides the fact that the Hexagon production is more steel parts, is that the Ares clone, the S&T version as well, uses a different gearbox. Now the main advantage to that is that you have an actual PPSh sized pistol grip. It's not enlarged to fit version 7 motor cage. The other huge advantage to this, and something I'm very happy about, and this sold the S&T PPSh to me rather than spending a little more on the hexagon, was that it's much more solid. Now, when you have to fit a motor inside of the pistol grip, you obviously have to hollow it. This is solid. It is solid wood. The only hole going through is the hole that's big enough to fit the wiring through. And it's not a very large hole. It's still really thick, really solid. I do not see this breaking. It's also held on sturdier, meaning that the stock to the receiver is held on more securely, because from what I've heard, and I haven't experienced it in person, the Hexagon production PPSh only uses a few screws. Now this uses a cross pin. This is basically pin here, a flathead, through to the trigger guard and receiver, and it's just a screw put in here. So you basically got a bar going through the solid wood, which holds it sturdy. That is not going to break. I do not see that happening ever. Let's move a little bit forward. Trigger guard is steel. Alright. Trigger is cast. Selector switch is cast. Forward is semi. Rear is full auto. I'm pretty sure. I haven't quite memorized it. It's still a relatively new gun. Alright. Now, the selector switch is a little wobbly because of the nature of it, but it's not something that's actually really flimsy or feels like it's going to break off. It's just the way it's held in that makes it seem loose. The trigger uses an A&K, or not an A&K, it uses an M249 style switch. A lot of people are not a fan of that, but me personally, I love that. It's such an advantage to me, because I have plenty of extra ones, and the trigger response is just, to me, so much better. And it's like, if you can replace them way quicker than you can replace a standard trigger. You don't have to take apart the gearbox, at least in an M249. Here's your mag release. It's a piece of steel. Flips up, folds down so it's out of your way. Stiff it first to get out. This is a 2000 round drum mag. I prefer it over the Hexagon production as well, because the Hexagon pretty much uses an M4 style magazine inside of their magazine, at least the internal parts. This utilizes a majority of the magazine to hold BBs. That's why it holds a much larger capacity than the Hexagon production. When I first got it, I did have a little bit of an issue with feeding because of the angle of this tube was at. I fiddled with these pieces and put a little silicone oil in it, and I haven't run into that problem since. To close it, let's put the lid back on, spin it over, and screw it down nice and tight. Alright, not going anywhere. Alright. The whole Magwell is a cast piece, and it goes inside and surrounds the gearbox. It is a cast piece. That's another really big difference between this and the Hexagon. However, it is very thick. It's pretty solid. If it does break, which is pretty unlikely, as long as you're not, like, whacking people with the gun, I'm sure there's ways you can reinforce it. I saw a forum post on a Hudson that someone repaired, and it looks like you can do the exact same thing to this if need be. Alright. The rear tang is attached to that metal piece that goes all the way through. The tang is steel. Here, you got like the dust cover release button. I don't know the technical term, sorry. This is cast, unfortunately. I thought it was steel. Nope, it's cast. Rear sight is steel, has a steel housing spring inside of it, yet the sight itself is cast. The bolt is aluminum and locks back by sliding down when you pull it back all the way here. It also acts as a safety. Now the whole receiver and barrel shroud is all steel, and that adds a lot of support to the gun because of how it's secured. Make it very strong. The front sight hood is a steel piece spot welded onto the receiver, or barrel shroud, my bad. The internal piece is a solid cast block that screws in from the inside. The sight is not adjustable like some of the other versions. I don't know if the Ares is adjustable, but this is not. It does not actually adjust. Do not try to do that. Outer barrel is aluminum due to import laws, but it is a nice piece of aluminum. I will tell you, that is not cast aluminum. That definitely looks milled when I was working on it. And then the trunnion is also cast. The barrel screws onto the trunnion, and the trunnion holds this whole part together. Now, let's flip open the cover. A word of caution, make sure when you open the cover, you pull and lock the bolt back. You don't have to lock the bolt back. You don't even need to pull it all the way back. As long as you have the back, it opened a little bit, you're not going to damage the hop-up unit. People always say it could damage your gun. Here's what it could damage: your hop-up unit and your bolt. This goes on top of the hop-up unit when it is closed. Alright, now if you try forcing it up, you're either going to break the bolt off or damage your hop-up somehow. Just be careful of that. Keep that in mind. Alright, as you can see, the bolt, and here's the blowback mechanism. It's basically a little piece of metal that's pushed back by the piston that pulls the bolt back. It can be easily disabled, and I'll show you that, exactly that right here. There you go. It's disabled. Push up on this a little bit, slide it out. It's enabled again. It's not that big of a deal. If you want to cut the tip off, go for it. If you want to open this up, go for it. You can do either of those, permanently disable it. Because when you do this, you can't pull the bolt all the way back, meaning you don't have a safety and you cannot lock it back. Not the biggest deal, but, you know, might as well. Now, I believe it is 8mm, and it uses ball bearings. They're all steel ball bearings. Not steel bushings, ball bearings. So, it's very smooth, very crisp shooting. I am very impressed with it. It sounds like a much higher end gun. You think, oh, a China clone. It's not going to sound too great. It sounds incredible. It is very smooth, and I'm happy with the blowback. And I'm going to use the blowback until it breaks, because I have had two different blowback guns. This gun and the JG AK, which the box is actually right underneath here. It's my camera stand for the moment. Now that that has nice blowback, but this is actually pushes the gun up a little bit more. It actually gives it a little bit more recoil. And that's weird, because this gun is a ton heavier than the JG AK. It's at least a pound, maybe 2 pounds heavier than the JG AK. And yeah, surprisingly, it actually does give it a bit of kick. It knocks the sight around a little bit when you shoot. Not meaning it's loose and it's freely moving. I merely mean it throws off your point of aim. It's cool. It's fun to use. And going back to the weight of this gun, it is heavy. It is a small looking gun. It looks very innocent, but you pick it up and, oh yeah, it's got a little heft to it. It's not one of those where you can real easily one-hand pistol it. That wouldn't be fun, especially with a loaded drum mag. I don't recommend that. You can put a sling on it if you want, because you got the rear mount and then you got this front mount, which is a steel bar welded onto the receiver. Yep. So you can put a sling on it It would help you carry it around most of the day. But I personally put a Mosin sling on it. I think it works pretty well. Alright. The only markings on it are stamped in Tula star, as well as the 1944 date on it. This little piece is an aluminum piece. It's got the number 1 put on it. The real PPSh has this bump here. It helps hold in the hop-up unit, actually. Or, excuse me, the trunnion, which helps hold in the hop-up unit. So, that's actually not a part of the receiver, which was surprising to me. I have not taken apart the gearbox yet. I don't want to ruin the magic of it, because like I said, like when you buy a high-end gun, it has that little magic to it, the gearbox. You just don't want to take it apart because it just sounds real crisp, real smooth, and when you take it apart, it's magically gone. I don't know why. Maybe you know, mess up something when you do, but as you can see, the sticker is still in there, and it's going to stay there at least for a little while longer. Alright, here I've got the PPSh. I'm going to do a little shooting here. First off, it's unsafe right now. I'm using a 7.4 volt LiPo, and when we chronoed it, it was shooting an average of 370 FPS, and it was shooting very consistently. I think the lowest was like 367, and the highest was 374, and it stayed in between there. Very consistent. Alright, give you a little view of the blowback. Switch to auto. Alright, let's do a little accuracy testing. Alright, shooting from here to that tree. Back there. It's about 60 so feet counted out. Semi-automatic, I'll count the hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of 10 hits. Let's do a little auto burst. Alright, now I'm at about 120, 130 feet. It's going to be very hard for you to see the shots, so I'm just going to count them out for you. Miss. Hit. Switch it back to semi, my bad. Hit. 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 Hit, miss, hit, 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 hit. So all hits there, or not all hits, only a couple misses. I'll do a short burst. So I'm getting, within three to 4 round bursts, I'm getting at least 2 or all of the hits. So it's actually pretty accurate at these ranges. I haven't done anything really extensive. 160, 170 feet is probably the max range. But with .2s, it's actually pretty accurate within its effective range. Gonna have a bit of a different camera angle here. I'm gonna be all the way back at the end over there shooting. Hopefully you'll see the BBs come towards the tree. If not, you'll hear them hit the tree. I'll fire 10 rounds on semi-automatic, and then 10 rounds on full auto. When I was doing the testing, I don't know if you could hear it, but the gearbox is very crisp, very smooth. It has an excellent trigger response. And hopefully it caught on camera that little bit of kick when I was shooting it out in front of the camera. I have been very happy with this gun so far. I haven't run into any problems other than, like I said, the magazine was a little bit jammy at first, but now it's gotten a lot better. I just needed to move the tube around a little bit to where it wasn't being pinched inside the magazine, so the BBs would feed. The other thing that's a little weird is that when you switch to, or let's say you shoot auto and you switch back to semi-automatic, the first thing you fire will be a burst. It will be an auto trigger pull. It needs to have that to actually switch to semi-automatic. Alright, now let me show you the decocker function. See, it's cocked. Yeah. There you go.
Хороши без только тут цветочки, еще лучше девушки весной.